Okay, so in our previous session we created the VM and got it connected. Now here in this session we will talk about the environment. So this virtual machine based on Ubuntu is having uh, three things installed on it. One is the Visual Studio. Here you can see this Visual Studio will help you develop the application as well as view the demo, the code for the demo. Next thing we have is something called as Truffle. Truffle is JavaScript based framework on top of Ethereum Solidity. So instead of you doing the development in Solidity language where you need to learn the language, if you are comfortable with JavaScript, you can utilize this framework. Okay, so we have Truffle installed on the virtual machine, and then to test the entire code we have the test RPC. Test RPC is another framework, or you can say a module based on JavaScript. Test RPC helps you simulate the Ethereum blockchain. So as you guys might be aware that Ethereum is a blockchain where you can run certain application based on the Solidity language, right? And you can do certain types of transactions, okay, using that programming language, right? So the whole blockchain is like a computer, distributed computer to execute certain business logic on top of it, right? So the test RPC provides you simulation of Ethereum blockchain wherein we can deploy and test our Ethereum code. And the third thing we have over here is the sample demos. So on the desktop you see we have the Ethereum folder. Within Ethereum folder you will have another folder for demos, and within that you will have various demos. Okay, so these are the things which are installed on the virtual machine. Okay, now so let's see the code first. Okay, so we want to look into the code and see how the code is organized. So we will have one demo over here, hello world demo. So this is sort of a hello world illustration of what Ethereum is, what it can do, and how that whole blockchain the application can be deployed on, and we can various ways we can do the transaction, right? So in this hello world application what we have is we have some contracts. So in Ethereum we need to create contracts where we have the transaction logic built on top of it. Okay, and then there are other folders which are specific to Truffle framework, right? So the framework uses this for its own internal deployment and other purposes. Okay, so what we can do is we can open this whole code base in our Visual Studio. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this location, open a terminal over here, and the command for Visual Studio Code is cod. Okay, but before I need to cd to this location, I will cd to /home/ubuntu desktop Ethereum demos hello demo, and here I just need to say code and the current directory, hit enter. It will open the Visual Studio Code on the Explorer. You will see hello world demo, expand on that. Let's go to the contract. Okay, now here these are the three Solidity files. You can see .sol. Okay, that's the extension for Solidity file. So let's start with this MetaCoin. MetaCoin basically is declaring a contract, just like in object oriented programming, you need to have a class, and then you can create instances of a class. So same way over here in Ethereum, we need to create a contract. Okay, so MetaCoin is kind of a contract, and you can see this is the constructor function of this class. And what is happening over here is we are assigning 10,000 as a value to tx.origin. Okay, now here, we are not going to get into too much technical details about what the code is. All you need to understand is this MetaCoin basically represent a coin. Okay, just like Bitcoin we have. So assume this as a coin. Okay, and the balances for this is stored over here. Okay, and here what we are doing is we are assigning a 10,000 value, okay, to balances. Okay, and this value will be assigned only in the constructor. So what it means is whenever we are going to create an instance of this coin, that particular instance is going to have 10,000. Okay, so that account, so in Ethereum's term, that account is going to have 10,000 as a balance. Then we have this function called sendCoin. What it does is it accepts two addresses. So here you can see there is this address, okay, which we initialize it to balances, right? So it will accept receiver and it will accept the amount, and then it will return the balance. Okay, so all it is doing is if the balance of the sender is less than the amount, then it will return false. Okay, else it will return true. Okay, and then it will deduct that amount from the sender and assign it to the receiver. Okay, so basically sendCoin operation will deduct some amount from the sender's address and add it to the receiver's address. And then we have the getBalance function. So this will return the balance in Ethereum, and only the other function will return the actual value of the balance. Okay, so at this point all you need to understand is here we just have one coin wherein 10,000 is assigned to the balances. It has a function to send some value to another address and couple of functions to get the balance. Okay, and then it utilizes other contracts, okay, which we are not going to get into details. Okay, so this is the main logic about this particular contract. Next thing you need to understand is this truffle.js. If I open this, you will see in this you need to provide the configuration details of your Ethereum network, okay, the blockchain where this contract will be deployed. Now in our case, since we are going to utilize the test RPC, I provided the test RPC details. So by default, test RPC runs at this particular port on our local host. Currently test RPC is not started. When we start, you will see that it starts on this port. Next thing you need to understand is this migration. So here we have the migration plan, which basically Truffle uses to deploy your contracts on the virtual machine. Okay, so this is the overview of the virtual machine and the code we have on the virtual machine.